Alright, so the second tutorial recording, we are now going to have it when we press E, when that canvas is showing up, the E prompts thing, that it will, show another canvas. Alright, so right click UI canvas. This is the second canvas. This one here is going to ask for a code, so we'll call it the code underscore canvas. The code canvas is going to have two things inside of it, so right click UI text, it's going to say what is the code. And we'll once again do a very basic styling of this, making it a lot bigger. There we go. What is the code? And we are also going to add under code canvas. We'll give this a more useful name, as currently we'll call it code question underscore text. Right click under UI, we now need a input field. This is where we're going to be inputting the code. So I'll make it bigger. Not that big. There we go, and we'll make the text way bigger inside of it. So inside the input field, it's got two fields, a placeholder text, where it currently says enter text. I'll make that size, no, I'll find a good size, 60, 70? 70. Excellent, and we'll float that in the middle of the text box, enter text. We'll just write code ... The text itself is what the user enters. Now, we'll style this one similarly, 70, floating in the center, so that it doesn't look too strange. And that should now be set up. Just to check that we can write in this, I'll play it. This isn't hidden or anything, so it should show up immediately once the game plays, and I should then be able to almost access the code thing there, so I need to be able to access that now. Alright, cool, so we have a second canvas input field and just the question. I'm going to hide the code canvas, with the canvas option, just like I did before, and we're going to go back to the coding. So this is the same code as before. I'm going to firstly make a public canvas, and this is going to be a reference to our code question canvas. Alright, so we have now had a look at onTrigger enter, when something goes into the trigger area, onTrigger exit, when something leaves. We need the third option, which is void onTrigger stay. So something is continuously inside the trigger area. Thing in trigger area. If the thing in trigger area has the tag that is equals to player, if the thing in the trigger area is the player, then we want to check if the press E, show next canvas. Alright, another if statement. If inputs dot get key equals E, just confirm if I spelled this correctly very soon. Then we're going to just debug .log for now. The player pressed E. Alright, let's go back to Unity and see if there's any problems with their input does not contain a function for get key, which means I've misspelled it, maybe it's capital G. At the group end string, if player.getKey, I believe it's like this then. It's like this. It's gotta be. The reason I'm not showing the code while I do this is just so that I can show it once it's correct. Alright, sorry. So it is input.getKey, capital G, bracket, quotation marks, whatever key we're looking for. So what I should see is when I play my game, walk into the trigger area. There it is. Oh no. Inputs key name E is unknown. Alright, let's have a look as to why that is happening. So we want inputs.get key unity. Have a look at the documentation. Inputs. So we're going to look at input.mouse. Here we go. Static properties. Input.any key down. Control F. Just the word key. It should be this one. .get key, yeah. Inputs .get key E. Keycode.e, is it? Alright, there we go. Keycode.e, let's try this. So go back to Unity and we will attempt with this newly written piece of code. So input.getKey, so it's going to get a key. There we go, the player pressed E. Input.getKey, keycode E. Alright, excellent, so that's all working. So the player pressed E. Now we want to show the canvas. So we want to get the canvas, which we called code question canvas. Code question canvas dot enabled equals true. Now back in Unity. our rock ball needs to tell us what canvas we're talking about. So rock ball up here says ePrompt canvas is this one, code question canvas is the code canvas. So I'll click play. We should now see we'll go in here, press E to interact E. The canvas that we're wanting to show up shows up. Now we need to do a little bit of troubleshooting. We want a couple of things to happen. Firstly, when this shows up, I want to freeze. I want a button sort of in the top left with an X in it so I can close the canvas. And I do not want that press E to interact to be there. So a couple of really simple things there. Alright, so a few bits of code. Now I'll go back to the code. So when this canvas shows up, I want the ePrompt canvas to be disabled. So I want its enabled value to be false. I also just want to say that if anybody leaves, I also want to hide the code question canvas. That's pretty basic so far. Now there's a few more advanced things. Now I want to also freeze player in place and give user access to the mouse cursor. Alright, so let's do some coding. So I want to, firstly I'll do this one because I'm right underneath it. I want to say, hey cursor, cursor dot lock state equals lock state dot none. All right. I misspelled cursor. I misspelled cursor, did I? Let's have a look. Ah, that's it. Lock, capital S state. Cursor dot lock. Cursor lock mode dot none. There we go. So hopefully should have no errors now. Alright, so we'll check if this new bit of code works. So we'll walk into our cursor, our trigger area, press E, and I do have access to the cursor. Now I can type my code in. Alright. But I noticed that whenever I leave, I'm still triggered into there, so I've been writing a lot of stuff in there. And I haven't been writing in there. But when I leave, it also does disappear. But that's working. I also want my cursor to not be usable when I leave as well, so I need to set that up also. So we'll go back into the code. I'm gonna copy this. So when I leave, I want the cursor's lock mode to be locked again. So that's an easy one. Alright, so the second thing that I need to do is give the user access to the, freeze the user in place. Alright. So I'm going to need to reference the character controller of our user to start off with. Alright, so alright, public character controller player character. And when do we want to disable it? When they press E, freeze character in place. So I want the player character dot velocity equals Victor 3.0. I believe this will work. Let me just confirm. Oh, Victor 3 with capital B. Alright, so let's have a look. We'll go back to Unity. There is a error. Alright, let's have a look. So, property character controller dot velocity cannot be assigned. Alright, so I cannot assign its velocity. So let us try something else then. Alright, so character controller dot transform dot position equals sorry, I'm going off a very small tutorial here. And I do not like the way it's looking. Okay, so temporarily freeze the player is what we're looking to do. I guess we can just disable the character controller. Character controller dot enabled equals false, so we cannot control the character. That might work. Hey! So, rock ball. Now I need to know who is our player character, and it is our player. It'll get the character controller out of it automatically. So what I should see now is that when I walk into here, press E, even if I'm pushing all the WASD keys, I can still move around, looking around, but the code that I write in is not going to move me. Alright, but there's no way for me to get out of this now. That's a bit of an issue, so let's do that right now. So back to code. If the inputs dot get key is the escape key, I think it's keycode.escape. let's have a look at this. Just check that code-wise this is all working. We should probably debug.log. The player pressed escape. Alright, so let's go back to Unity and have a look. So what I should see now is on the trigger stay, so therefore something is consistently inside of the trigger area and it is tagged as a player. If I press escape, it says the player pressed escape. Press E and escape. Yep, it is showing up, the player pressed escape. Alright, so that's working well. When we press escape, we want to go back to E prompt canvas. We want to hide, alright, lock mouse, and we want to enable player movement. Alright, so go back to ePrompt canvas, really easy, it's just the opposite of this. So we want the code question canvas to be false about it being enabled. And then we want the ePrompt canvas to be true. The mouse lock state we want right here. Cursor.lock state is going to be locked. Player character controller is going to be enabled true. So pretty straightforward, that one. Just the opposite of the E. When you press E, the opposite stuff happens. Alright. Alright, so we'll go in, press escape, nothing happens, cool. Oh, actually I have access to my cursor. Hold up, why do I have access to... Oh, because I pushed escape and that's exiting the... that's my being dumb. When you press escape, naturally it exits the play area so that you can get out of the window. So we'll press E to interact, we can write some code. I'll press escape, which will not actually hide the cursor, but when I click it will. Code cannot move. Press escape. Now I can move. Alright, that's working well. Now, as another option for our player to leave this canvas, go back to the code question canvas. I'm going to offer them the option to press a button up here. Now, we right click and we're going to add another UI, in this case a button. This button is just going to have, we'll style the button first, we'll make it a square, we'll make it 50 by 50, make the text in the button an X, aligned center, and we'll just up the size of the X to that. Alright. Oops. Alright, cool. So I'll move my button to be up in the top corner. Alright, quick setup. Now, button is going to need it's going to need to know how to do some stuff. And on click, add something. It's going to need to know how to run some code. It's going to go into my ePrompt. The function I want it to run. Sorry, I need to add the ePrompt to the button so that it can look at the code. it needs to know what everything is, just like before, so that it can enable and disable stuff as we need it to. So it can disable itself and the other one. Alright. And the function we want it to run is under ePrompt. We want it to I guess we need to make a function for it to run. Exciting. Alright, let's add a function so that our button can disable itself. Alright, so if we go into the code again, currently they're all in trigger voids, so this will only be accessed in this event. What I want to happen is I want another void that my button can have access to. So this is going to be a void that will do exactly like the trigger, but this is all I need to be worried about, and I'm going to call this one escape canvas. Now the easiest thing I can do is either copy this and put it in here, but now I'm duplicating code, so a more efficient way is for me to replace this stuff here with escape canvas. So now when you press escape, it will say it needs to escape canvas, come down here and run exactly the same code. But in doing this, back in Unity, where it's wanting a function, I can now, once it loads, say run that escape canvas function. It's currently got no function, but if we go down to the ePrompts, we have escape canvas somewhere. Let me just redo this. There. You can have the scripts. There. ePrompt, where is escape canvas? Ah, doesn't need to be public, sorry. Ah, there it is, escape canvas. All I needed to do was add this one keyword, public, in front of it. So when I play my, oh sorry, that's going to show up immediately, but I'll show you how that works anyway with this mistake. I can't access it, that's right. Exciting, so we'll go into here. Oh my god, I'm spasming out. Alright, walk into the trigger area, press E, this shows up, I can click on the X, and it will do the same as me pressing the escape key. Code, X, there we go. Now the only reason it showed up immediately was because I have not disabled the canvas. There we go. So that's all set up to work exactly as we need it to. Now, it is mad about something here. What is it mad about? Nothing to worry about by the looks of it. Okay. Oh, just because I changed the thing. Alright, there's only one more thing to worry about, and I'll do that in the next small tutorial video. Cool.